The incoming Trump National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz, has warned that there will be consequences for the 51 former intelligence officials that signed on to that criminal letter in October of 2020, claiming that the Hunter Biden laptop story had all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. It didn't, but their letter did, saying in an exclusive Daily Caller interview that the Felonious 51 caused real damage to our national security and to our institutions. Now, Mercy, I got to say, this Felonious 51, I was live on the air on the radio when this letter dropped. I immediately parsed the language and found that these weasels were lying to the American people, running what in the intelligence community they call an information operation against the American people, tampering in our presidential election, and it worked.
Yeah, these 51 former intelligence officers, they did not have evidence that the Hunter laptop was Russian disinformation. Just
very
think
much
about
the
that.
contrary.
So there they are putting their names on these intelligence officials and basically trying to make this argument. And then you have the big tech companies supporting them because what are they doing? They block the New York Post story. They end up making sure that this letter becomes the primary media narrative. It is pure propaganda. And you have seen time and time again the polls saying if people would have known about the Hunter laptop, that it was actually factual, they might have voted differently. This, I think, is complete election interference, and they should take away the security clearances of every single one of these intelligence officers.
I agree 100%. I covered the intelligence community for 10 years, for a decade. And, John Brennan, whose nickname is Penitentiary Face, one of the leaders of this was one of the most horrific shams ever run, scams run by our government against us on behalf of the Democrat Party and Joe Biden. And the polls, again, that Mercy referenced, showed that it could have swung the vote by 8% and Joe Biden would have lost.
John Brennan, Communist Party voter.
Voted for Gus Hall, literally the Communist Party candidate for president.
To Mercy's point, it's actually worse than saying that it's Russian disinformation. They said just that it has the hallmarks of Russian disinformation because there was absolutely no evidence whatsoever for doing this. And then we learned from Joe Rogan when Mark Zuckerberg went on Joe Rogan's podcast that the federal government called big tech companies and pressured them. We learned more from one Joe Rogan interview than we did from every single tech reporter in America, all of whom should be fired, all of whom should be replaced by AI. They are all stenographers for the Democratic Party. Literally, I mean, how is it possible that not a single one of these people who cover the tech world got this answer out of Mark Zuckerberg? It's because they're also in the tank for the Democrats.
Well, and the New York Times and 60 Minutes, and nobody was onto this. I was onto it the moment I read the letter live on the radio.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, they did use words where it was not definitive. They said it bears the markers.
Earmarks.
Or the earmarks, excuse me. To me, first of all, I will say that laptop has nothing to do with Joe Biden. As a candidate, it said nothing about Joe Biden. It talked about the character of his son.
It said that he's the big guy and he got 10% cut of everything.
But he had 4 years to try to prove that. They tried to prove it. Ask James Comer. He's been on this network and others talking about it, and he couldn't find
Biden's address.
No, he couldn't find anything. As a matter of fact, the money, every time they found money, they had thousands of pages of financial documents. Every time they found money, it was paid back for a car, paid to this. You could not find
for
anything.
A loan that would never be
Why
paid.
did nothing happen then?
Tony Bobulinski, who is CEO of one of the many Biden family corporations. We still don't know what all those 20 some odd corporations were doing for a living. But Tony Bobulinski explained that Joe Biden's the big guy in the emails. He gets a 10% cut. Everything out of China, everything out of Ukraine, everything out of Russia. It's crooked as hell. And that letter should lead to people going to jail. It really should, and I almost never say that.